This video is taken from a live webinar about how to automate your sales. If you want to see the full replay of the webinar for free, click on the link below. In the meantime, enjoy this information from our live webinar.
The next part of the automation process in your sales automation is how to automate sales calls and handle incoming queries and proposals and contracts. What I'd like to talk about is how to use a virtual assistant to do a lot of this stuff. Now, this is not to be confused with people that we're going to use for outsourcing, and we'll talk about that in a separate webinar. But how do you use a virtual assistant, and what sort of things can you get a virtual assistant to do? Now, there's a whole bunch of services out there that will offer virtual assistants. You know, there's third world country virtual assistants that will do a lot of stuff for very, very cheap. There's a lot of local services to wherever it is that you live right now that will offer it for a little bit more expensive, but they may do a different quality of job. So one of the things that I want to talk about is sales calls. Like, you can get a virtual assistant to go and help you organize your sales calls. Not necessarily do the sales calls yourself, but maybe set them up so that they've put them into an appointment or a calendar for you. Other things that a virtual assistant can do for you is handle any incoming queries. You know, I think I was reading something recently where, you know, because we're entrepreneurs in our own business, we're doing so many different things in our business that we don't really spend more than 12 to 15% of our time doing sales stuff. We spend all of that other time doing other bits and pieces that our business needs. So if you could open up the time that you have where you're selling your products and services, then you're going to make so much difference to your business. And this is where a virtual assistant can really help you do that. Some of the other things I was just thinking about that they could do is help you with proposals. If you've got proposals coming through, I know we get people to help us with proposals for our business because it just makes sense for us to concentrate on things that we want to do and are good at, and get someone else to do the proposals for us before we send them out. Of course, we look through them, but it just takes that time away gives us time to go and do what we need to do. Contracts, if you've got contracts you need signed or written, or any admin duties as well. And then you've also got things like notes from sales meetings. If you've got sales meetings, you can take a virtual assistant or take a recording or something like that, and they can use those notes to put together those proposals or whatever it is that you need. Heather, do you want to add some stuff to that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just add, if you're going to get help in this way, how do you actually get the data over to these guys to, allow them to make the calls and do that? It's really easy. Basically, if you have MailChimp or an email program where you're collecting the leads that come in from your websites or the sales that come in, you just give them logins, and then they can go in and pull information out of there. And things like Office Autopilot and Infusionsoft, and even bigger ones like Salesforce, they allow you to actually set up what are known as tasks. So if somebody comes into your system, meaning they filled in an opt-in form or they purchased something from you, the system will automatically email whoever you want it to email and say, hey, we just got this purchase. Can you please follow up with them? So this is where you really dive deeper into your customer service and your upsells as well. So here's another great example. So there's a company that we work with. They do information nights and events all over the country to get people to come in and sort of see what they can do for their investments. And what happens is that when you go into that event, there is a little task that fires off to somebody on the team to actually call that person prior to the event and say, hey, the event's coming up in a couple of days, do you have any questions? And then they also follow up after the event as well. So the system actually does all of this. When somebody registers for the event, it then just alerts people to go ahead and do the follow-up. So, again, we're talking about automation and not leaving sales on the table. So it's a great way of actually getting your data across to your assistants to help you out.
If you got some really good tips out of that video, then why don't you go and watch the entire webinar for free? All you need to do is follow the link down below and you'll have instant access to the webinar. Go on and do it now.